welcome, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Finance Committee meeting. It's April 14th. It's 7:01. And here tonight, we have Peter Machusko, Harry Vondolowski, myself, Amy Fiden, Pam Hegg, and Paul McCluskey in attendance. The first thing on the agenda is approving the minutes on 4/1. Do I have a motion to approve the 4/1 minutes?
Motion made to approve the minutes for 4/1.
Second.
So I have a motion by Pam and a second by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, so tonight it's all about the operating budget, the warrant, and the discussion on override. So that is what we have on the table for tonight. I'm going to just move it over to some of the others to do some of the talking.
I can give,
Pam, you wanna?
yep, you wanna pass those over to those ladies, just so they can see what
So-
we're talking about?
What did you?
Okay, so my thought is.
Okay.
Of override of $750,000.
Okay.
I don't think anything higher is going to pass. I don't know what everybody else feels. But what I have, just gave all you guys is being able to, the goal is to add the firefighters, keep the school with the 640 that we took from them, and limit employee cuts across the board. So.
You don't mean cuts, limit employee.
Sorry, the part-time to full-time to part-time. Change, keep them up, move them back up to their regular schedule operating hours. So for the 750 override, do the 640 for the fire fund, for the school. They want 7-something peak, because I know you had said something the other day about how much we took from them. They want, their projection was 709, I think. If we give them back their 640, then that's what the town was gonna give them anyways. So they would still have to figure out how to come up with the other $60,000-$70,000. Okay? Give the firefighters the other $110,000 towards their 2 full-time employees, hiring 2 full-time employees. According to Linda's email the other day for the insurance for this year, we are about $113,000 overstated for insurance for 2026. So we moved that money to the fire department at the end of the 2026 fiscal year.
Wait a minute, what? For 26 we're overstated?
Yes.
That's what she's saying from the email.
From your email you sent us the other day, there's 113 extra, if you wanna call it extra,
In 26.
from 26. So if we take that extra money from 2026 and give it to the fire for 2027, why can't we do that?
Because at the end of the year, anything left over in any budget rolls back into free cash and it gets certified on July 1. So if you were to use it that way, what you're doing is using free cash, which is what you had said we're not gonna do anymore. So you can't use FY26 funds for FY27.
And wouldn't it have to be further appropriated anyway?
It would have to be
You'd have to
appropriated
certify.
again, but it'll be appropriated not as revenues, which we're trying to keep a balance within revenues, you'll be appropriating it as free cash. And we won't have it ready to appropriate until fall town meeting because it's certified on July 1.
So we've done that, we did that last year, but we wanted, that's true, we wanted to try to stay away from
Free cash.
free cash a little bit. But we did, you know, it is confusing sometimes, because when it is free cash, until it is free cash, because it's not free cash until it's been certified.
We can
free
use it in
cash.
26 to fill holes, which we will have to do, because we know that the snow and ice budget is over by over $100,000. We know that the workers' comp budget is over by 40, we're short $40,000 in workers' comp. So we would use that money from insurance extra this year and fill in those holes. So we do routinely do that from year to year. In the same year you can do it. So, and the other thing that you can do is, I mean, you can, the other time that you can take it from one budget and put in the other is sometimes in the fall when you're like 3 months into the year and you see that something is running not the way expected, and maybe you're gonna have extra money, then you can like shift budgets more in the fall when you're a third of the way through the year and say, oh, looks like we really have, they've told us we're not gonna have any insurance increases this year, and it looks like because of people who've left, maybe it is going to run. So let's say you found we had that same extra that was identifiable in the fall, it could be moved at that time into another budget if it made sense in the whole context of the whole budget.
So the only way that this could be accomplished, I'm just thinking out loud, is
Mhm.
we would have to actually appropriate it from free cash, and then with the expectation that this 113 is gonna quote unquote replenish the free cash in 27 when it's certified.
But
Yeah.
she just said it's not gonna replenish, cause she's got
Workers'
workers' comp and
snow
snow,
and
that
ice.
is gonna eat that money up
Yeah.
anyway, so it's not
And,
really there.
and
It's
some,
spoken for.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I mean, the thing is, I think what you're seeing now is how difficult it is to do a budget that starts in July, but you're doing it the prior December and January,
Yep.
and trying to get it right, and hopefully, in most cases, with what we got wrong in one budget, will be compensated by an equal wrong in another budget, if you will, but, I mean, that's kind of the way it goes. And as our budgets get tighter, that puts us a little bit more precarious position each year because we have less, little extra in the budgets that we can count on for being extra because we've budgeted so tightly, we've crunched everything in so much that we don't have as many compensating budgets.
So, Linda, I'm kind of off the subject, but
Uh-huh.
we're talking, I was talking to somebody out on the outside and told me about the hotel getting converted, and I guess the developer's gonna give the town $60,000 a year.
It's already factored in,
It's in here?
not in
It's
Ham's,
the
but in the budget
27
book,
budget.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as I had a number, I gave it to Linda because I knew every dollar was gonna count, so it's already there.
We talking about the Howard Johnsons?
Where is it?
10,000.
Do you remember where we put it?
No, I'm not sure it
I think it
was.
just went into the general fund, we didn't, you can't put it somewhere, we accept the funds, it goes into the general fund and she has it there.
I tried to look for it and I couldn't find it, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I don't specifically
I
recall,
think
I honestly don't recall whether it was before or after are they going to
It's not
select board
better
receipts?
select board receipts
It's
probably,
possible, I don't recall now.
but
Well, I
we
thought
do-
that was just new, wasn't that just something that was just brought up within
Yeah.
the past couple months?
I think
That was
we've
from
been-
after that was made?
The negotiations were
Right.
were
Yeah.
completed,
Right,
but I've been working on projections on this for about 6 months.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
but I think you may be right, because we didn't have a definite figure, that we kind of have it as, that's one of our,
Maybe you
Right.
didn't put it in the book, but
Yeah.
I thought that you had factored it in because I had already run all of the projections on it. But
Okay,
either
right.
way, it is included in there as part of the plan. It's not hanging out there. When you look at how you get to the numbers, I did the projections working with the numbers for the rooms tax, how many rooms did the division, looked at what their receipts were for the last several years, and then worked with town council. So we sort of had like an idea of where we were gonna end up.
so is that 60,000, is it spoken for, or is it somewhere in the general budget
It's in-
already made?
I'd have to go and find it,
You know
but
what I mean, it's like, if
but
it's there, is it
it's in the
spoken
general-
for?
it's always, it's going into the general fund. It's
Okay.
not directed to like a special revenue or anything like that. It's just going into the special revenue, or special, it's just going to the general fund.
Okay.
It's not going anywhere special.
Okay.
So are you saying it went into the receipts after the budget book was
It,
compiled?
we need to find out where we put it, but I presented it to Linda and Mike a while ago. And I don't remember exactly where, but it is, already accounted for. We did it in your office. But I'm not gonna make you remember, yeah.
No, I remember the
Yeah.
conversation, I just don't know whether it was before or after
I believe,
we went, so, this is something we'd have to look
we'll
at.
have to look for that, but we can, and I can, hopefully we can give it to you tomorrow night. Check yours.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, well, so the 113 is not there, so that would be one firefighter and so he'd only be able to get one full-time firefighter instead of two, because I was counting on that money to be the second firefighter. So the 110 would be enough for him to get one full-time firefighter, plus insurance, and all the gear. And then we already know that the new commissioner for inspections is $55 an hour, 10 hours a week, so that comes out to $28,600, but we've got it budgeted for
So, I'm just
60.
gonna time out.
Yep.
He is 10 hours a week at $55 an hour while we figure out what we're going to do. This is a temporary appointment because we have to have a commissioner on the books. You can't not have a commissioner. When our commissioner passed, we had to have a commissioner who could approve inspections. So we turned to one of our alternates who is fully employed with the town of Amherst and is also partially employed with the town of Pelham. So I don't think he's gonna be able to give us the full hours that we need. So, that, just have that in mind.
But we don't have a set ending date, and we don't have anything, we don't have it
Yeah, but if you
posted
cut,
to trying to
right, but if we
find
cut,
someone yet.
if we cut that $61,000 down, that means we have a 10-hour-a-week buildings commissioner, if he can continue to do it. We were talking 3 to 6 months while we figured out what our plan was and how that office would look. So, but I don't think that the intent is that we're going to stay at 10 hours a week. That is not reasonable for the amount of business that we have in the town of Hadley.
Okay, well, that kind of squashed everything else I had, so.
I'm so sorry.
Let's see. Do we have, how is it working? Do we have a new town administrator?
It is on the agenda for tomorrow night. The last bit of the contract edits have gone back and forth today. I'll have the contract up tomorrow, and I can give you the contract numbers tomorrow night. It's just, until it's voted on, it's not public yet. It's still coming in an executive session, so I can't release it. And the same with the salaries. So we'll have all of it tomorrow night. Everything will be tomorrow night. But everything right now is within the budget that Linda has given you. Nothing's gonna go, there's nothing that's gonna throw anything off. Between the department head salaries, between the town administrator, it's all accounted for within the balanced budget that Linda
Is there
provided
anything
you.
extra?
Is there any, so,
Well, I mean, it's within, she's saying it's within the,
I get
in
that,
the
but
book,
I wanna know how much extra we
right,
got.
so extra's a fun word, but it's not a real word for this budget.
No, it's not extra.
Yeah.
Can we move it somewhere else? How's that?
Yeah, so
Tomorrow.
we definitely know that repurposing of funds is a possibility, and I'm all about moving it to the next thing. But for right now, tomorrow's the sort of when we can give that number. But I can say that everything falls within this, but there will be some movement around.
But Pam, if these are your priorities, even though they're not covered the way, I mean, what it would do is go to increase the override. So,
Well,
my
that's-
best estimates, I think we're looking at an 850, so, that's, when I factor in what was identified by you as what you wanted to do and what we've heard on the fire and what we wanted to do with the school, I'm coming up with, we have a ways to go. This will be something we have to talk about, but we did talk last week about doing two levels of the override. And so you'd have your priority first 800 and maybe then the second.
Yeah, yeah, so, and then the other one I had was the commissioner line, we can just kind of deduct that $34,000, cause it's not a wash. But if we take the TA admin position, you've got 54.5 allocated. If we do administrator between the TA and the assessor, that only comes to 33,000, comes to
So
my math isn't right there, so that's,
so that is a operational decision on that. And the assessor's assistant, I do believe, actually, the assessor's assistant, I believe, is 10 hours a week. And she has a skill set that belongs there. I believe there's some planning background and stuff. And the administrative person for the select board's office, I don't know that that's gonna be a natural flow. And I don't know if that person in that role would want to do it, or if they could take on additional hours. So that's something to think about, but I think also that's something that has to be sort of decided on like the operational side of this. But,
Because my thought wasn't to use the treasurer's assistant over in the assessors. I was gonna give her back to her full-time.
the treasurer's assistant and the assessors?
No, you're talking, she was in, building.
Sorry.
They moved
Oh,
the
did you mean
assistant.
building instead of assessor? Cause I was confused as to why you mentioned assessor so much, cause we only took an hour and a half out of.
No, it was building, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
all right,
That was
that
me.
makes more sense.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's a building, not assessors, sorry.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
It does make more sense.
Okay, sorry. But that would give the TA somebody, and you'd still have somebody for the assessor, and you're still saving money.
And then just one more little hiccup is, can't be in the union and work in the select board's office, cause it's gonna conflict with confidentiality, and the treasurer's position is in the union, so we would have to negotiate with the union to get the assistant treasurer out of the union, and it's a union position. So, definitely something we can look at, think about, see if it's an option.
Okay, treasurer, you just lost me, because I was giving Linda back her treasurer assistant and not putting her anywhere else.
I'm not trying to take the assistant away, I'm bringing up something that I want you to hear. The assistant treasurer position, everybody at home, I know you can't hear us, Nick has gone to get a microphone, and just bear with us. My phone keeps binging, people saying they can't hear us very well.
Well, speak up.
So, what I was saying is you have to look at the union positions. The assistant treasurer position is in the municipal employee union. The position for the select board's office is going to be a confidential employee, so they will be excluded from the union. So having the same person do both
I
things.
don't want her to do both.
I thought that's just what you said, that you wanted her to do both.
No.
You
Oh,
didn't say
She was releasing it.
TA split with, who are you?
With.
Split with building,
Building.
not with assessors.
With buildings.
Just straight up and down the stairs, Jennifer.
I understand, so I will say it like this, the building inspector position is also within the union.
Okay. I'm like, I couldn't figure out how you
I'm
were getting
so sorry.
treasurer in that conversation, cause I was like, I'm
So-
giving her back.
So the building inspector position is also within the union, and then we're gonna run into the same thing. Again, we can negotiate out maybe, and I don't know if that would work.
We have a lot of negotiations coming up, even if you accepted everything that we had done. We have a lot to go back and forth with the unions, and we were trying to sort of minimize the number of
But I'm trying to keep
positions
people's
invest.
jobs.
No, I know, I
understand, but
We do understand that, it's not, I'm not trying to throw grenades, I'm just saying, if this is a problem, because we talked about this. We talked about what if someone whose position was getting cut in half, moving over into the select board office, but then how do you do that when the select board's office can't have a union position within it? Then you have to negotiate with the union to pull it. Unions don't wanna give up their positions, and so it becomes this whole thing. I want to solve the problem, I wanna figure it out, I do, and I'm not saying that we can't negotiate with the unions, I'm just saying, please be aware, this is not an easy thing to do. We are already, fine, I will call you when we go in, we'll go in together, we'll do it. But we already are gonna have to negotiate with them, for the COA director's position, and leaving that position vacant. And so they're already going to have a position, if they even agree to it, they have not agreed to it, we have not negotiated with them yet, to allow us to leave the program coordinator position to recognize that savings that Violet brought to us all, and we all thought it was such a great idea of saving the funds for the COA. That's all contingent upon the union saying that Violet can do some of that work within her job as a COA director, because it's technically union work.
So what's the ETA on those negotiations?
We have reached out to the union rep, and we are waiting to hear back from him. Mike reached out to him to see if we could get some dates to go and negotiate that, because we'd like to get that going now if we could. So that's where that is. Okay, go ahead, Mr. King.
So if we work backwards, to getting our 2 firemen, what's that number? What is that number? So if we're working back, and we're just gonna start at 750 as starting backwards to how much our fire department is, and then after what the school needs, working that, and then thinking about a number like Linda was talking about. So,
So 190 at the top of the page, that's 2 firefighters at, sorry.
okay, no, I got it, I found it.
That's 2 firefighters at 140 plus their 40% insurance.
So it's
So that's 190, I think it comes to 196.
196, exactly,
Yep.
exactly, yeah.
Comes to 196, but I cut it because I wanted to fit in the fire.
Mhm.
Fire and police admin, I figured they could hire somebody for an over $6,000, but anyways, so that 196 is what it would cost to do 2 firefighters.
So how is that different from the 110 that you put over?
The 110
last
is
year?
only part of the override, so if we give the school back all their money, the 640, you've got 110 left for fire, which would be 1 person.
One person being like 98. Okay. 7, 8, 20, about
That
50,000.
leaves 554 from
Right.
the 196.
Right. So you could do 554 and 196 and give the school, but I really think the school needs all 640.
Okay, so with going with that, so are we going to sacrifice the fire department again for the school because they already took a bad enough hit from last year? I'd rather be giving the fire their 2 positions because of how bad in the situation has been with the multiple fires, giving
They're drained,
giving our
they're
fire chief a
exhausted.
break.
Can I ask a question, Nicole? Have y'all have said a couple of times that you feel like the 750 won't pass, the 750 is the best we can do? And I'm just wondering if maybe, think about what is happening here, what we're showing you on how difficult this is, and see that there is the need for more, and maybe consider doing the more portion of it. I know it's your budget, I know it's your pocketbooks, I know it hits people, it really hits people, but I'm just saying, I mean, there's a need there, it's firefighters, it's teachers, and that's all y'all have here, there's other needs within the town. So I'm not trying to pressure you or anything, I'm just saying, maybe it might be worthwhile to look at that slightly bigger number, and I do understand the impacts of it. You know, I pay real estate taxes in another town, and so I know what it's like for them to go up. I'm just asking how difficult this is, and you can see that there's a need, and you know our firefighters are tired, and you know our school teachers are doing an amazing job, and we know that we do not wanna cut people's hours. So I'm asking if there might be any consideration to look at maybe a slightly larger number.
Jan, when you do that though, you know, further up we keep pushing, I know we started with bouncing around a $500,000 figure. Now we're already up to 750, if we go up any higher, there's some kind of a magic threshold we're gonna cross. And the people are gonna give us the same result, the voters, as they did back in September.
Right.
So
And that's what we're trying to do, is
And
throttle this down so that
$1
it's
million
a
override.
reasonable amount.
But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is I was just wondering if we wanted to consider that what is a reasonable amount, does it do what the town needs?
It may not, but it's also you gotta consider what the town taxpayers
It's the voter's
are
choice.
willing to
Sure
pay.
it is.
It's the voter's choice.
It's not our
What's,
choice.
what's our?
Of course, but we have to give the voters the right choice.
Of-
And so,
Indeed.
that's why we've been talking about doing the 2 levels. So,
That's gonna come up in a second, cause I do
Okay,
have
all right.
questions on that. I, did get an email from someone and I did look into it and it is confusing.
Yes.
it is.
It is
I
very
read it.
confusing.
I have a memo from town council
Yeah.
for tomorrow night.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because at this point, I'm like, whoa, after getting the email, I'm like, yeah, I think I wanna change my mind because I don't understand this.
And South Hadley apparently, has had a really rough day, cause today was their election day. Apparently it's been a really rough day for them over there. It's been on the news, national news, about how confusing it is.
Yeah,
So we do wanna make sure that we're really prepared going into it.
yeah, so I
We can
wanna
talk
make
about
it
that
simple,
Later.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So the $750 override would be $75 per quarter for, I know Pete, you were using the $550 last week for a value of a house. And then $1 million would be $99 a quarter for the same house.
550 we're
So
using, yeah.
quarter is.
So,
A
so it's
seven-
So
300
$33 a month.
A $750,000
$99 a quarter.
override is gonna be, with the 2.5%, you're close to 9% already, because the $750 by itself is gonna be 2, 4, 6, 5% right there. And then another 2.5, so you're up to 7, almost 8%. And, the average, I think it's $5,454, if my memory's right, for an average tax in Hadley. So you add 8% to that, and you're up to over $400. So I don't know,
It's a lot better
last
than
week
18.
somehow some
It's a lot
40,
better than 18.
what's that?
It's a lot better than 18%.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
it is, but it's, where's that magic
Yeah,
number
yeah,
that
you're right.
everybody is okay with? And that's where
You know,
I
we're
certainly
walking
don't
a
want to.
tightrope.
If it's underneath the double digits, I think it's like you're saying for the, yeah, what'd you say it was, last year was 18%?
18%.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you're just looking at the override amount, but you also have to add in the 2.5% too.
Correct.
So that's what I didn't
you're
add that
gonna
in
end
there,
up
right.
paying.
I think keeping it underneath the double digits, I think people would be happier with that number as to maybe the 750, maybe go to 8, but anything over that, I think we're gonna be crossing that line.
Yeah,
That they're gonna be saying
hear you.
no, and they would be like, okay, well, yes, we need the fire, yes, we need the schools, but then after the decisions of the hiring of the other people, that's of the, those people making those negotiations with the town as to how their jobs are, where, you know, that's on the select board or whoever's negotiating, where the priority is the school and the fire department.
Exactly.
So,
They can be priority without taking the whole thing. I mean, I don't you know, I think that they can be first in line, but when you use it up and you don't get to number 3 because you're taking care of those two, I think you've got a problem. Because they depend on us too. Running the fire department and certainly the schools, they depend on us over in town hall and the rest of the town. And you want the interests of more than just those two interest groups.
I have a question on, when you're talking about multiple choices,
Mm-hmm.
you have number 1 choice, no override, it's a huge cost to the town of losing services, et cetera. And then if you have 2 other choices, do those,
It's really just two choice, because no override just doesn't happen.
okay,
Okay, so
okay.
there will be 2 choices. You tell me if you think this is difficult. $750,000 override, and this is what we're going to fund. For another $600,000, you can also get these items. So now you're at 1.3, you vote for that and you get the whole thing. So you can vote for half of it, or you can vote for all of it. Is that hard?
Yeah, well, when I did, yeah, it can.
yeah, it is.
It can be.
Yes, it is.
I don't think 1.3 is gonna pass.
If the town has
I-
multiple
honestly-
Well, it doesn't
overrides.
have to.
It
It
says,
doesn't have to, you can still get the 650 or 700, whatever I said first, you could just stop right there.
if we have multiple overrides, the only one that can be, you can only have one amount that can be raised. The highest dollar amount that is approved is the amount that passes. It's not the vote that gets the most yeses.
Correct.
Oh,
They're
That is
not,
correct.
they're not
That is
competing.
okay.
So So
Well,
once
they're
you
not
get
competing.
a vote,
It's
a lower
unfair the
number
way
of
you're
votes,
saying it's
but
unfair
it's a
to me.
higher dollar amount, so that passes. is what
So
you're
the
saying.
higher dollar amount
Yeah.
passes. It doesn't matter if the lower amount gets more votes and more people want the lower amount, that, it doesn't matter that if the higher amount would pass.
Oh, it has to pass though, so it does matter how many, it has to pass.
Well, it
And
has
if
to
it
pass, it has to have, a majority.
Right,
But less people could want
Yes,
the larger
yes.
one, and it's gonna go through,
yeah,
yeah,
so.
I mean, yeah,
that's right.
So,
We'll have to
yeah.
put a majority rules.
that is the majority. If it
If
passes.
more wanted the smaller one.
So if
It
you've
would
got,
not.
well,
There
that's
might
why
be
it's so
more than
confusing, can you, I mean, listen to us, like,
it's
what?
so the
But that's
smaller,
not- but how about,
It's not confusing.
so if you've got 100 people voting and you've got a smaller one and 52 people vote for the smaller one and 48 people vote for the larger one, even though that one passes, the larger one is the one that you have to take.
Exactly. So the majority doesn't rule.
If it's a,
so, hold on, you have 100 voters
it
and 100
does,
voters, so 52 vote for the
Lower one.
smaller
Smaller
amount.
one.
And then 51 vote for the.
48.
48.
So 48's not a majority out of 100.
it's not a majority.
Well, it doesn't matter because
It
you're not
doesn't
gonna
matter,
get,
that's what I'm
because
saying.
out of
But it
100,
wouldn't
you
pass.
got a lot of no's in
48
there.
wouldn't pass.
Majority
you want-
absolutely rules.
48's not a majority, so it wouldn't pass anyway. The 52 would pass because it's over the 50%, which would be a majority.
Okay, so if the bottom one is at 51,
It passes.
right,
Uh-huh.
it passes, but it doesn't pass by majority because the 52 is the one that's got the higher numbers.
It's
Well,
still
1/3 of it is
it's-
in no
People
votes.
can vote for
So-
both.
It's still a majority though.
They can
Yeah.
vote for both, theoretically,
But you're not counting the no votes.
I'm
Okay.
gonna vote for both.
You
You're
can
assuming
vote for both.
everybody's voting
That
yes.
doesn't mean they're competing. I'm gonna vote for the lower one, and I sure hope we can get the higher one.
52%, I don't get 55%. The same people.
Oh, it's not a one vote, there's gonna
Right.
be,
You can vote for both.
Twice.
There's gonna be 3 warrant articles. There's gonna be one for this budget with the
Yes.
$1.5 million for cuts.
It's not
Then
either
there's gonna
or.
be a second
Okay, these are the
supplemental.
warrants, but what's going on the ballot?
The ballot is gonna be the one that passes at town meeting.
So if you do a 0, a 750 and a 1.4, if both the 750 and the 1.4 pass, then the 1.4 is going on the ballot.
Yes. Because as Amy just read, the highest amount is what wins, I guess.
They
Well,
can
how
vote
did
for
South
both.
Because
They
the
can
highest
vote on the
amount
ballot.
goes on it.
Why does
If it
South
does-
Hadley have 2 items on the ballot?
They have 2 options.
Right.
So I'm not
What's the
versed,
question?
Who knows what
Why
that
does
is?
South Hadley have 2 items?
They have
on
a
the ballot?
900 and an 11 million.
so
I don't know how they
we're
do it.
not South Hadley and we don't know how they do
Yeah,
that.
who knows how they're doing their thing,
We
yeah.
met with town
It's
council
over 3
today.
years, it's like all over the
Let's
place.
just figure out how to.
Yeah, there's a reason they're in the news right now, and I would really like not to do that too. I don't want TMZ reporting on the town of Hadley.
well, the other thing is, we need to have, whatever happens comes down tomorrow, because the clerk needs to have her stuff in, so we have to have what's gonna be on the ballot tomorrow, by Thursday.
They'll figure it out.
We're working with town council. Yes, we need numbers from y'all. That's what we need. Well, we need numbers. The select board is the only one that can officially make the vote for it, so it'll be from them. But y'all have to give your input and y'all have to come to a consensus.
Because one
tomorrow.
of the
That's what
biggest
happens.
things I thought was important, that was we don't have another ballot vote. It's one that's at the
It's
election.
not going on the election ballot. That is come and gone. That is too
I
late.
was told I need it by Thursday.
No, 35 days.
Yes, and they're doing it Thursday. Tomorrow is our last day to make that decision.
I don't know.
We talked to town council this
Who
morning,
did you
so.
speak to?
Okay. So we're gonna do a separate ballot?
Yeah, that was my understanding.
35 days after a town meeting.
Meeting.
We can't do the ballot until we know whether we're going to. If neither of these options passes at town meeting, there won't be any ballot.
Right.
So we have to have town meeting first.
I'm not
Why?
certain.
This is,
Amy
Amy, it's not gonna be the same ballot election as the town elections.
Okay.
That's what she was thinking that it would be though.
That's what we,
Jennifer,
Linda.
Jessica said that.
well,
I don't know
Put it
when
on.
though, I don't, when,
I took it as at the last meeting that we had an agreement when we talked together with the select board, that we were gonna try to do it together,
you
so
wouldn't
that
have to
we
pay for
wouldn't have to
two.
pay for another
Election.
I don't
Election.
recall that, but-
I don't recall that either, we budgeted
Yeah, I
for
remember
another
they
election.
were talking about that.
I remember we talking about it, I don't remember it being a vote, but, I don't know, I mean, if it has
I
to be,
did not know that we budgeted for another election either.
it's in her budget.
Registerize is fun, it's fine, that's why we added to them at the special town meeting in the fall. We added $5,000 to their budget this year in case there were other ones, because we didn't know how far we would be going with with the overrides this year when we were.
Well, Linda,
And-
I heard you say, if the town meeting says no to the
Mhm.
budget, then there's no
Any
election.
override, right, there's no,
Yeah, that's my, I mean, we could do it, but then you'd have to have another town meeting after that
Like we
to,
did in the fall.
to approve it, yeah, approve it.
Yeah.
spe-
And I
Uh,
also have-
appropriate the funds.
So what I was.
So why
looking-
would you do it then, though?
I didn't mean to cut you off, excuse me. I'm sorry, I realized I was doing it.
So yes, we can, but this is, this isn't something, we're not the experts on it. You need to discuss this with the select board tomorrow night, but, there are different ways of doing it, but I think that we've already passed because, we're kind of past the time for doing it with the town elections because we don't have the numbers yet.
So what do you think our numbers should be, guys?
I think we should make it simple, and I think that, okay, we can discuss a little bit and maybe move it up a little, depending to get what we need, but my thinking is we should make it as simple as possible and try to just do the one, and make it simple. And
850, 750, $1 million, I mean, where are you guys sitting?
What did you say when it came to, if there was a 750 that the,
It'd be about 8%.
What would $1 million be?
$1 million for an override?
Yeah.
Or,
$1 million for,
like
Override.
6 2/3 plus another 2.5, so 6, 7, 8, up over 9%.
$1 million would be 9%.
Which is
And the-
less than half of the 18 that caused the rebellion.
Well,
But
the other
still,
thing-
the-
when you put it on the ballot, you have to, say exactly what it, it looked like you had to put it in what it was for. This is for the school, or this is for 2 firefighters, this is for X amount for this department. It has to be specific, for a specific purpose.
So I put down the bottom of my thing, I added in.
You have to have a
that-
dollar amount
Right, with that
purpose.
extra 250, I added some other things that could be put in, but we're also short 100,000 from up there, so.
I don't know, I mean, realistically.
And we gotta give them numbers tomorrow, guys, so
Yeah.
we need to
I'm
figure out
just
where we wanna
thinking-
sit.
I thought we
Somewhere
were
near
voting on
8 or
amounts
850
tonight,
maybe.
right?
We are, yeah, we
Yeah.
have to give them, they want 2 numbers from us.
I don't feel so keen about 2 numbers at all, because I think if you go with a larger amount that they were throwing around last week, I think Jane said 1.4 million, did I
That's what
hear
she
that
wanted,
correctly?
yeah.
She wanted to replenish the full amount.
What I'm worried about by doing
But
that.
that doesn't include firefighters either.
Yes, it does.
But if you do
No,
that too,
it's not in the
you are,
budget.
I'm worried we're gonna jeopardize the lower amount,
The 1.4 million?
because you're gonna pull a lot more people out to vote, like last time, it was so large. And we got 2/3 of our voters out, or I mean, it went down 2 to 1.
correct,
And some people might say, well, if it's 750 or whatever. we
but something
decide,
that's
I'll stay
reasonable.
home.
a
Even though
reasonable.
I'm against it, I'm gonna stay home.
Right,
Even though I would have voted no, but if it's 1.4 million, I'm getting out there and I'm gonna vote no.
Right.
And they're gonna, for both of them, jeopardize the smaller one too. And, we wanna see something go,
Why would you do that?
because
Why
what
would
I
you vote,
just said,
why would you vote no on the smaller one?
if the
Just
person
because-
is dead set against it, but they say, well, maybe I won't even bother to go out. It's 750, I guess I can eat that. I don't want it, I don't like it, but I'm gonna stay home. And now it's 1.4 million and 750. I'm
Oh,
coming
you're
out.
saying that putting 2 on
And I'm gonna
attracts
mix-
more no voters.
And it's gonna jeopardize the low one.
I don't know if there's that much of a percentage of people that are dead set against any override,
I think it's swung a little,
Yeah.
it has
Last
definitely
year
swung
was
the other way.
really, really something new that just pushed everybody over the edge, 18%, and there was a big rebellion million, and I don't think, I mean, if they did 10% last year, or 5% or whatever, I think it would've been a lot more likely to slide through. And I don't know, it's hard to read the voters ahead of time now,
I can see the gears going, Peter.
you know, I mean,
Speak.
are they still up in arms over last year?
I think they are, because look what happened when it came to it was the 2.5, 2.2 was for the general budget and 300 for capital, and not as many people voted for the capital vote for the 300, and that got shot down too, for 300,000.
And there's your trial balloon, right?
Correct.
But
And, you know, if we want something to go through, we can have just one, the way I feel, one item for a lesser amount, and don't even think about that larger amount. And I know they want it, you guys want it, the selectmen want it, but they might end up with the same result as they did back in September, because the first time we met, we did a go-around with the selectmen, you know, what are your thoughts? And I remember saying, I worked with a guy who said, if you get greedy, you end up with nothing.
Yep, it was the all or nothing.
well, the West Hampton just lost
And-
their
yeah.
$500,000 vote.
And then we're talking about, we just had a discussion a few minutes ago, they were saying that it's confusing in South Hadley, and here we are gonna do pretty much the same thing.
I did, you know, earlier, one of the first things I did when I was talking to someone, they asked about the override, I said, it looks like we will need one. I said, we definitely need something for this, you know, and I mentioned the schools, and they said, I would definitely support the school. You know, I definitely wanna support the schools. So, I mean, I think that is something we wanna make sure we don't lose. That is something that's very important, and we don't want to lose out on
I
that.
think it's very important is the presentation. I don't know how it's worded, how you legally have to word it, whatever, but, presentation is, and don't just say, oh, with this amount, we could hire extra firefighters. With this amount, we'd be able to have the same amount of firefighters that we had previously, instead of hacking them. You know, don't make it sound like everybody's getting something extra. And they'll say, well, we don't want extra, just leave it the way it is. And, like I say, that's the hard part of saying, oh. vote
And
for
we
a
might not
balanced
get,
budget.
maybe we don't do everything all at once, you know.
It's-
We had the fire department, we went down by 2. Maybe we don't have 100% back, or we just give them a good chunk back and let them decide, can I do 2? Do I just do 1 right now? Do I put that other one, let that department decide, maybe I want that money in the, under, the volunteer firefighters.
Call
bucket,
force.
The call force.
A half a
Still-
loaf is better than no loaf at all.
I'd still go full with, get the 2 firefighters, give them back to them. And no, we don't wanna be doing cuts on the schools, but to giving what's a 1 firefighter. It's not giving any relief to really anybody and to the fire chief, it really isn't. Giving him those 2 full firefighters, giving the fire chief some relief, and what are the numbers, Paul, if the number was 800,000? When it comes to the percentage wise for the tax increase, and
4, 5, and
if it was an 800,000,
a third, and a 2.5, 6, yeah, almost again, you're just a little over 8.
so it's over
Yeah,
8.
Not much.
So it's 8 plus, and then after the 750 was around the 8-ish, so
8-ish.
a little
Yep,
low,
little
lower than
under.
8.
Right, and then the million's at 9.
8.5 at 750.
So it's 8.5 at 750.
And then if you add another 50, you're saying, so there's a third of a percent more.
Okay.
So it's, you know, approximate.
Right.
It's like 150,000 is roughly a 1%.
If we wanted, the other thing is, do you wanna round numbers? 190, she said it was 196, not 190,
196
right?
total, yeah.
196, round it up, 200, use 200. 200 plus 640 is 840, do an 840. I'm just throwing out round numbers, just being basic. I
Hope
mean, it's-
everybody shut their windows.
That's what I literally just said, I was like,
It's boring.
Okay,
I just think.
but I'm just saying, that's exactly, you wanna say exactly what that's for?
Yeah, that's the key thing is the presentation.
200s for 2 firefighters, 640 is,
Yeah, what am I
Or-
getting for my 800,000? You're right, Harry.
Yeah, the
That's
key
true.
thing is the presentation.
what
'cause
is it,
Yeah.
what is it?
People don't know what that means. Oh, you wanna throw all this money on? Oh, you wanna add firefighters? And that's not, you're really not adding something, you're just going back on not taking it away. And
Mhm.
it's gotta be made clear what this is for, or people are gonna think they're throwing the money in something that isn't needed. And I think it is needed, it's just, the presentation is very important to be clear.
Just
True.
food for thought, if you go up to 1 million, you can put back all your assistants back to their regular positions that they're in right now, and you can also get, your DPW maintenance guy back.
Then you might as well say, geez, we're all at 1, then we might as well go to
Yeah.
1.4,
Also-
where
I'm
is
just-
that, where is that limit?
I'm just throwing it
You-
out
you
there,
know,
it's
you
just,
The
gotta-
optics of that, once you cross that 1 billion mark, I think that's
Right.
when,
I think
It
1 million
becomes-
would be our max, and I think it's too high, I was just throwing it out there.
I think that's a psychological figure too, like 900,000 sounds a lot cheaper than 1 million. I mean,
It's that extra zero that kills you. That extra digit.
Well,
you're looking for a motion.
yeah, I'm looking for something to
Well,
present.
I don't think there's, still a discussion as to, before any motions are being made, because it's either gonna be, okay, 750, 8 or 850, what's the line that we're gonna go to for it being fire and school, and then that's it. If 850 will do that,
Well,
As long as it does it in the eyes of the voters too,
correct,
you know. We can sit here and,
right,
I mean, there's
Talk.
still stuff that we can
Right.
talk about within the budget a little bit. I mean, like Linda said, there's not a lot of room, but there is some things we can still talk about. You know, maybe maybe not this much in this line item, maybe this amount. I still think, I wanna talk about later, but I don't think it has anything to do with this, is I wanna move some money back to the reserve, the finance reserve in for emergencies. But that's something, I don't think, some of those things can be
those are
handled
down the
within.
line to figure
No,
out
well,
what we have.
they're handled within the book.
Right.
Okay, I don't think this, what we're coming up with right now is 640, and the 2 firefighters cannot be handled within the book. That can't be handled in the book, no matter what. It's-
There's not enough wiggle room for that.
There isn't. There's nothing that we could do to make that happen unless you have an override.
Right.
I don't see that. So, okay,
So to us, it's the 750, the 8 or the 850 is the line as to fully billing the
I-
fire department and the schools.
I'm okay with
a little-
850,
With a little over.
that would give us all of that, the schools and the fire back,
and nobody else.
yeah, but nothing else.
so this is schools, so that would go towards the school and then the fire. And then we deal with everything else a different way.
Do we wanna give them one number, or do we wanna give them two?
Now that 850, because we did 750 is 8.5%, 800 is a little over on the 8%, now 850 with your numbers, Paul?
850,
Yes,
here we go.
since you're the,
6,
you're just like the
minus
magician
5
of
and-
numbers of interest and.
5 2/3 and 2.5, so, yeah. 5, 6, 7.5, and just under 8, right?
Well, we had 8.5 at 750, at 800 we were over, 8.5, so 850 is a little bit
1,
more,
2, 3,
so
4, 5, 6, yeah, and then 850, we're really
closer to 9.
I was just
6
gonna
and
say,
2/3, 7, 8, 2,
Working
9, yeah, over
backwards.
9,
So
just a
be-
shade,
yeah, I
So
was
be-
gonna say, what would 9% come out to, how much?
pretty
Well,
much.
what we're at is
Right
850 is a
there.
little over 9%.
You think that'll fly?
It's under $1 million.
Well, it's
Have a
under
coin
million
and flip
you
it
know,
is basically what we're doing.
And it takes
It's-
care of the fire. takes
Fire in
care
the
of
schools.
Which I
and a
think is
little
what
bit more.
everybody else's biggest concerns is the fire in the school. That's all I've heard.
So you're saying 640 and 200? What am I missing? There's another 10 in there, you're gonna put that in fire
200 for
too?
the
250?
fire,
Yes.
640 and 250, okay.
and 50 is
We were
for,
850 total.
Which is-
850
Well,
Wait a
total.
minute.
Hold on, we're trying
It's an
to,
extra 10K.
so where's the other 50
There's an
going?
extra 10K.
It's an extra 10K for the firefighters,
Do
640
you
for
put that call
schools.
for us, or
Extra
do you wanna do
6.
So
something else?
210.
we could do that to have a
Okay,
good
yeah.
towards.
Which, I was going to suggest that the cost of a firefighter, they need their turnout gear and they need their air packs, they need more than just their salary.
You include
And
that.
the
I
insurance, so-
included insurance.
40%.
I
And
included
yes, you
insurance.
did.
We're
But I-
solid and proud.
So I think that extra 10 is appropriate.
Maybe they won't take insurance.
Maybe
It's
they
not-
won't, but we are
It's not
legally required
guaranteed.
to offer it.
It's not 100%.
So that
Right,
10
it's
so
not,
that 10
but-
would be
No.
for the training
How
or
much
the.
do we pay?
Their gear.
The gear.
65%.
65?
Yes, we pay 65%.
They tend to be of family age,
Yeah,
that
oh, yeah,
project,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we pay less than, I think there's one town that pays less than us, but we pay less than almost
Everybody else. We make a motion for 850?
I'll move that we approve an override of $850,000
For school and,
for school and
And fire.
fire. 640 for the school and 200
10.
10.
to 10 for the fire department.
I second that.
Okay, a motion by Paul and a second by Pam. All in favor of the override? Amount?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Okay, so that's what we'll go with tomorrow to talk to the select board. The number that we came up with is the 640 to the school, the 210, and an 850 override.
You might not listen to it anyway, but
Well,
did it right.
that
Yeah,
will be our.
they'll probably override us.
No, right, then it-
Override the override.
They will.
They wanted 2 numbers, but I don't feel comfortable going any higher.
No.
I think that's doomed if they go with 2 numbers.
Okay, okay. I definitely, I would like to go, I mean, I'm really hoping that we end up with one number and just make it as simple as possible, because it's just, it's confusing. It was, even when I got the question and then I read, I went to the Massachusetts rules on the ballot questions. I tried to understand it by reading it. And that's not even easy. I'm like, whoa, it's definitely lawyer talk. That's why Linda can understand some of this.
That's right. So the DLS does have really great videos though too.
Yeah.
I believe if you go to our page, you can find the links to those. Watch the videos. I mean, it's not exactly riveting, but they really break it down in very easy to
Like
understand
eating cardboard?
terms. There's signs and markers and no, it's really, they're really useful videos to watch, and they're very helpful just to help the general public understand it, help town employees understand it. I mean, this is, overrides weren't something that were in any of our wheelhouses because, oh yeah, y'all have never done one. So, and there's so few towns that have had them sort of, had like tons of experience with this, and now everybody's getting experience, some good, some bad. So,
I think we've caught it in the middle. I think we're in a good spot.
So I'm not sure if we want to do more of talking about what's in the book. We still have to vote on, in the book, in the budget for the warrant, and we have to present that, but I don't think we have all the numbers yet.
Right,
I
we're
guess-
missing salaries
So
still,
I
yep.
think we should maybe wait to hear. I mean, we know that we want to replace the concern that was in town hall with some of the hours that the departments were losing. So that was important to try to address those
Yeah.
concerns. And the concern I had definitely was, I would like to see what is in there that is, we're holding as, okay, well, we need to have something just in case. Well, in some of those just in case situations, I might want to say, well, I get that, and maybe we can move some of that into the finance reserve for just in case. Because what if a different department ends up, this department didn't have the just in case, but this other department did have a need for it. The 25,000 probably in something this slim seems like it's not enough to me.
It does, but then we have a snow and ice budget that goes over by over $100,000, and then we have workers' comp that costs over $40,000, so yeah, we have to have some cushion in there.
Yeah, but some of those, we can go over in fire and ice, and some of that, and we do have free
And then-
cash sometimes, we can use
And then what? And
the
now what
next
you're-
year.
Now what you're doing is budgeting out of your free cash. That's
Well, we're
the
not,
problem that you
because
run
we're not
into.
gonna, that's one that would go over if it did. It doesn't necessarily gonna go over. It doesn't do it every year.
Right, but we have
years
to
in a row,
increase
right.
it, we have done it for 2 years in a row. Last year, I was fine with it, just we had a crazy winter, and this year it went over by 20,000 more than it went over last year. That means we're not budgeting appropriately. I didn't realize that. That's why we like a little just-in-case money to sort of tucked away, whether it's in, whether it's in your reserves, or that we didn't spend it all, or we've got some
Yep.
free cash. We do not have to come up with it for this year out of the rest of the budget for 26. But it will decrease the free cash that's available as of July 1, because they'll just take it right out of there. And if that's the way our plan is, we'll just, next year, if it runs over, we'll take it out of free cash again. That can't be our.
Well, we wanna budget realistically.
Yeah, we have to, that's
So
it exactly.
it should be a realistic
So
budget,
now
we
we have
shouldn't
to-
under budget.
We have to reimagine it realistic in the snow and ice budget.
And then it
because
won't
this is
snow
crazy.
for 4 years.
Yeah.
But this year was really
I'm heating
bigger
that.
than normal.
Apparently last year was
And the
too.
year before that was.
Last year was all
So
ice.
It was
we
all
need-
ice.
This
And
year was all
and then the
snow.
year before that, there was nothing, and we were
Right.
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So we do have to look at a history, yeah.
So,
Yeah. Is
Linda, I
there
was wondering-
places y'all wanna talk, I mean, the just in case is,
Well, we don't know all the numbers for, like, part of it, it depends on what the number is, we need to know, like, in the select board budget, you had, a $30,000 possibility that you
for
weren't
the
sure
other
of,
salaries.
that could be a just in case.
So,
And,
I agree. I think that we were thinking, actually, I know that we were thinking about retirements coming and replacing people, and how I sort of addressed it, in the past with y'all, that we're not replacing people for less than people are retiring out. Like, that's just not how it's happening, and getting employees to come in is not that easy, and that's just sort of what it is. So I see the just in case part of it, but we know that there are some pretty big retirements coming of people holding critical positions in the town, and we wanna make sure that we're bringing in the right people to do it, and it might be that they need that funding for that. If we don't have it and y'all are at $25,000, like, what do we do there?
well,
But I also hear what you're saying about, these are people's jobs, and so we have to balance that. But with these retirements coming, it's this hard balance to figure it out.
So Amy, I agree that you've got some figures that aren't in place yet.
sure.
And the warrant article does not include the full budget. So you really need to have the budget, the allocations to it, as long as as long as we're agreed on the bottom line, and I know we have to, because that's what we're working
Mhm.
with. You're also hoping that in the next few weeks, maybe we found that 60,000 would find something else, and maybe we will. Well, we're open to that, but you need it probably a good week before town meeting, so we can get the paperwork together. So if you wanna ride with that a few more weeks while these certain appointments get made and you know what the cost is,
Yeah, we can wait on
it's-
some of that stuff, I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to, that's
I think
fine.
you should definitely jot down,
But-
make a list of all the ones that you're most concerned with. You're concerned about the town administrator or
Yeah.
budget having some extra funds in there. And whatever it is, and let's get through tomorrow and the override part of it.
Okay.
And then tackle those a little more.
How are we doing on that other piece of that I gave you?
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
Okay.
Their select board has
Okay.
taken that.
Yeah,
So I think that there will be, I will say there's some, that I won't call it extra money in the budget.
There's
There is
never
some
extra.
Some shifting
Put it
that,
somewhere.
that will probably, can probably be made if the two boards agree to it. There's some options there, not a lot of big ones, not enough
No.
to fund a position.
Do you think there will?
Linda, is
I have
there
a
any
question.
chance, I know you were
Yeah.
talking to us at our
Yeah,
last
ask him.
meeting, it was too
Hold on
early
a
after
second,
the
wait.
quarter, to see just where are we sitting with
Yes,
receipts?
there's a really, really good chance.
Good, good.
Hopefully I'll have it tomorrow night, how about that?
Can we all,
Yes, the year-to-dates,
We'll
the
all get
quarterly
it.
year-to-date. Yep, the revenues got posted this morning, the expenses were, I was set with those last week. And we are actually, are running a little, behind, as in a good way, in the expenditures. Everyone kind of running scared with their budgets, so there's advantages, sometimes you spend a little bit less. But then I don't know what to say about the revenues. I had just started on it, and maybe if it wasn't 100 degrees in my office, I would have stayed another hour and got it entered tonight, but I hope to
Second
have that
floor.
for tomorrow night. Yes, very good chance.
thank you.
And I think that's a good, that's really good to know, because if you perceive some more flexibility in there than it felt like last quarter or the quarter before, then it is a little bit easier to do tight budgeting, because you're aware that maybe it won't be that bad.
Right,
I don't know, and then,
Yeah,
and then
that
the
makes
insurance
sense.
rates go up, so, I mean, when it's.
I already know, we already made a vote to it for the 850, but just so everybody, whoever's watching, our taxes are 11.46 per thousand. At 850,000, it would bring it up to 12.07. Just so if anybody was curious about that. And if they're, what are we saying, the average
We were
house
doing
is
550,
450?
we were doing 550.
550,
5,400 a year.
it would be going up about $335 on your property taxes. So it would be from $6,303 up to $6,638.
So, $100 a quarter.
So just so everybody
No,
knows,
less than that. It was
it'd be less, it's
300.
about
$300 a month.
$335 for the year, just if,
Yep.
people wanna know flat out numbers, what's the percentage
32,
rate,
it's
how
like
much,
$85 a month, a
expected-
quarter, I mean.
85 a quarter.
how much expected out of their tax bill they would be getting an increase on.
Harry, you had a question?
Well, just offhand, like, good question for Peter. I think he's got his finger on a pulse of a lot of people. How many real activists would you say there were? Activists. You know,
You make it sound like a cult.
In this
for lack of a better term,
You're making it sound
there
good.
were people who were really active, they're really concerned about the 18%. A lot of people were concerned with 18%. But there was a certain segment that was really out there pushing people, say, you gotta get out and vote this down, this is crazy, 18% is ridiculous. You know, and they're putting up signs, and I can think of several people last year who were very much against an override, who I don't think would be very much against an override this year if we gave them something like 8 or 9%, as opposed to the 18%. I think the 18 was
I think
a special circumstance.
that, but plus you need to say what it's for,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
school or the firefighter. You need to say that, because
That's very important.
not everybody's watching our stuff, right? Not everybody's
I-
watching this.
I'd say it's a minority.
There's a lot that don't know. There's a lot of people that were went to vote last year, and they're like, are you gonna try this again?
And it's important to
And then you have to
network
say why it's different.
even with people, you know,
Why we're
personally,
different.
to network with people who didn't want 18% and say, hey, it looks like it might be more like 9% and it's really necessary. You don't wanna lose 10 positions of teachers, et cetera,
Well, people need to understand that there's already cuts that have been made.
yeah.
We've already taken the free cash out. We've done a lot of adjustments. So there are a lot of adjustments that have been made since that time. So it wasn't easy, but they've seemed to do it. And they got through, and they done you know, an
We've
incredible job.
managed.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so.
I mean, that was one of the biggest things people wanted to see was the changes first, and then they'd consider the override, and I think
And I think there
we've
is a
done
lot.
a lot's been changed, a lot's been cut down, skimped on, changed
I mean,
around, multitasted, that's a
The
word.
HR department is huge, that's a huge thing.
I
that
mean, a
happened.
lot's changed,
That's
and
a
I
lot.
think that's what a lot of people have.
Well, I mean, that we're outsourcing that, it's a big deal of the, you know, with the payroll and all.
The benefits and the payroll have been outsourced, the rest of the personnel is coming to me. So, that part of it is remained in-house.
Just see what happens tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah, for those of us that will be there.
Oh, you're looking at me.
Our skeleton crew.
We got it,
Think about all the room you'll have to spread out at the table.
right?
No problem. Make it look like there's less empty space.
No problem.
You want the extra space, am I too close?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, so if we're not, do you have anything else that you wanted to say?
No, I just, I know you voted on the did you, was it specifically, is your vote specifically say a single, and only a single? Like, and so this is to be interpreted as saying, don't do a second. That's,
Yes.
or do you want to take that vote
I-
particularly?
Okay, we could take that vote particularly, I mean, I've changed, at first when that came up last week,
Mhm.
I'm like, I didn't know enough about it, I heard that South Hadley was starting it, I didn't know enough about it, I started to get I got an email from someone, I started to research it, I started hearing some of the stuff, and then I'm like, maybe that's not the best idea, it's confusing if I can't figure this out, and I'm asking a lot of people, maybe that's not the way to go. So, yes, I think we should take another vote, because that came up, we brought it up, we talked about it, but I didn't have all the information. So now that I've learned more information, I personally feel differently about it.
I don't
So-
think another one's gonna go, I don't think.
I think that we can,
That's-
especially if you're not, you know, we should take a vote and just so that we're clear on
But
what.
exactly what amount?
Since two of you aren't gonna be there, that's why I was
Yeah,
like,
no,
you can express
yeah,
it
and
tomorrow
I-
night, but I thought if that's how you feel, that's a way of registering that.
And what are we voting
We'd
on?
be voting on, so there isn't the option for a second number.
That-
So it's a fixed of 850 and 850 only
We feel that's the only option.
by
single
the
override.
recommendation
Single
of the.
override.
Yeah,
A
that's
single
finance
override.
committee's
To offer a
recommendation.
We
second
recommended
amount.
Or would you
multiple
have a
last
choice?
time,
Yeah, they
You know,
asked us for
850
two
or 12.
And-
last week.
last week.
They
at our
wanted
joint.
two options, and we all said, okay.
Well, our second option is we don't want a second
Right,
option.
is zero.
Right, right, so it's either the 850 and that's it.
Right,
Then we can all go together as unified.
sounds good.
I'll make a motion, if I'm doing this right, I make a motion for a vote on just a single option for an $850,000 override.
Second that.
Okay, motion by Peter and a second by Pam. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Do you have another meeting scheduled besides tomorrow? Do you wanna-
No, but we probably, should.
No, we don't wanna meet anymore,
Yeah.
we're done.
So, things to keep in mind are that the public forum's gonna be on the 29th.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post the warrant, probably early, by the 23rd, I'll hope to have the warrant posted. So I would love it if y'all could have your meeting and do your votes on the warrant article and the budgets sometime in the next week or so. So the 22nd, there's the override meeting with the public.
Okay, I was gonna say there, I thought there was
Yep.
an open forum on
That
the
is,
second.
but
The
22nd.
warrant discussion.
right, the
Um,
warrant discussion's on the 29th, so I want your votes for sure by the 29th.
Oh, I have it the other way around.
The
Override's
22nd
the
is the override
22nd.
forum.
22nd is the override forum and the.
29th is warrant.
Oh, I have
29th
warrant
is the
instead of
full
override,
warrant.
okay.
Where's the
so-
override forum gonna be?
We're gonna tell everybody what the decision
Question and
is, come
answer.
out of this.
No, I mean, where?
Here, 7
Oh,
o'clock.
right here?
Yep,
They're both at 7.
yep.
Okay.
Okay, so 22nd's an override discussion, 29th is the forum, is the
warrant discussion.
If y'all could tuck a meeting in next week, that would be really great.
I'm wide open next week, guys.
I love it.
This is
Or the 27th or 8th?
warrant.
I'm,
Well, I would like it before that. That gives me more time to get the warrant done.
Well, we meet
It has
tomorrow,
nothing to do with
and
the
then,
warrant. There's nothing to
do
do
we
with
wanna
it.
try
We
it on
just
the
want to
20th or
do it
21st?
The 29th.
either day's fine with me, Monday or Tuesday.
Do we have one on the
I have
13th scheduled?
Amy, I
Wait,
go
where
to
is my
church.
date? Okay, today is the 13th. Okay, today's the
Yeah, meeting on the
Okay, yes, we
20th.
did.
We did, but we
I'm just
didn't
looking
show
at-
it.
21st?
It doesn't.
21st,
work out.
I-
I'm looking at the calendar.
The
now.
21st, does 21st work?
They are, but
Wait a minute.
we want different
Can
parts
you
of
do
it.
that, Pam?
Yes, I can do any day.
My board is tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, why do I have the 15th?
That is tomorrow.
Tomorrow is the
Yep.
15th here.
Yes.
Okay.
Change to the 14th. Okay, got it.
Okay, so the 21st?
15th tomorrow, then the 22nd.
Yeah, 21st.
I can't do next week, so you're,
6
which is
o'clock?
fine. I'll be quiet.
6 o'clock?
I'll come. Y'all look.
Amy,
26.
what time?
Mm-hmm.
6?
Yep, I can do that.
What
That's
time are y'all?
The 21st?
6 o'clock?
Yeah, we just did tonight 7 because of the banner.
I had another
Committee.
meeting,
Competing
yeah.
with planning board on the 21st.
All right.
Oh,
They're in this room, right? Or are they in the big room?
They're-
Nick?
they're in
No,
Zoom.
no, no,
Oh, they're
And
on
on the
Zoom. Oh, then y'all can do that.
21st, we are doing the warrant articles? Is that what I'm hearing?
We will be doing, on the 21st, we will be,
21st, we're meeting, the 22nd.
we'll be finishing the budget and doing the warrant articles.
The
If
20,
you can,
On the
yeah.
But-
21st.
on the 21st.
But I'm thinking, I don't necessarily know if we should be doing it without Linda. Because if we do end up asking,
I agree.
If you end up what?
should we be doing that and making those decisions without you here?
Well,
In case-
a lot of the other warrant articles, Paul's got the,
Capital.
capital covered. There aren't that many other
It's all
financial one. We have the-
Planning.
We have the employee compensated fund, unfortunately, that's a big number, but it's a simple, we do this every now and then, it's 150,000 this year. What else is it?
And the transfer of the unexpended.
It's really just
The
the,
unexpended
any
capital
numbers that
items.
we change around,
I
Yeah,
have to
repurpose.
talk to.
or
Beth-
anything that we
I wanna talk to you about
touch
that
at all.
afterwards.
Okay.
We can work on a spreadsheet
Okay,
of tracking your changes, and then we can work with Linda on it after.
The budget part,
The
yeah.
budget part, I bet that the finance director has a really great spreadsheet that I could just plug information into as we move along and go from that.
Is there gonna be another buy board, because I know,
Five boards on
Tomorrow.
the 29th.
Tomorrow.
There's the 22nd
Well,
and the
also-
29th. We can ask the select board tomorrow night if y'all need to add additional meetings. That's
Yeah.
completely a reasonable thing.
The 29th, I don't have a buy
think
board.
there's a reason for them to have.
That's that open
That's
forum.
the
form.
Let's
it's
do
the
it.
form.
22nd
form,
is the
okay.
But I-
forum, right?
anytime y'all come together as a group, I always call it a buy board, no matter what it
You're
is.
confusing.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Right.
But
Yeah, you can do the rest of the warrant, if you wanna meet again on the 27th, we can do the budget itself, but I think,
well, why don't we try
I
on the
think you want-
21st, and if
don't
we
you-
have to do something again on the
Yeah,
27th,
there's
we
not
can.
that
we want
much.
to, agree with the select board, right? I mean, these are things that you wanna
Yeah.
discuss, you don't wanna just have a list and send it over and then they'll, make it, talk about wanting to make it easier on the voters. If you can reach an agreement, that would be good. What is it, Paul?
No, I was just kind of gonna say what you just did. You know, we just got the capital and those other 2 items. You know, the compensated absences and then the unexpended, capital projects from the past.
Right, which are going to sort of be wrapped into it. We did talk with bond council and, town council, well, emailed with bond council, Rick Bentley today. So we have to set it up a little bit more segregated, so I'll get something out to capital and explain that, to show exactly where the repurposed money is coming from.
Yeah,
So, it's okay, I'll just wanna show it to you, it's not exactly what they had in mind, but it's gonna be just fine.
it'll work.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll post for the 21st at 6 PM.
Post it now.
Yeah, I know. FinCom, 6 PM.
Sorry.
Mhm.
I got like 3 hours sleep last night, so I'm a little giddy, sorry.
Okay,
A little punchy.
and then we'll take it from there.
Sure.
see if Mike will come and hang out with me on Tuesday the 21st.
Oh, Oh, we have a question.
Is there gonna be public comment?
Did you have something? Sure, we can make a,
So second bill ending 17 High Meadow Road, just 2 points of information. The last time you met as just your group, not the by board, there was some discussion of Lee as a comparable town to the town of Hadley. So here's some information for you that I got from Lee. So from the fire chief in Lee, he's saying that his base salary is $117,000, not including benefits and a vehicle, and there was one other thing, I can't remember the other thing was. Second point was that the fire chief says he's more than happy to share line by line his budget. If anybody from Hadley wants to talk to him or visit with him and go over that. In my case, he spoke to me as he was driving to the firefighting academy to teach that night. So he was very easy to talk to. So I wanted to pass that on. Second point of information from the town of Lee is that I was in touch with the town administrator in the town of Lee. And you know, he was expressing to me, and I thought, Pam, are you the liaison to the ambulance committee? Or
Yeah.
someone?
Yep.
Or, so he wanted to express that the town of Lee some years ago was reliant on like South County fire ambulance service that Lee and Lennox and some other towns decided was not very strong. They were struggling. So Lee built an ambulance service, and he said it's one of the best decisions they ever made. He said they, from a financial point of view, and I think he said, don't quote me on this, but I think he said $240,000. I wasn't near a pen and paper. And he again expressed his, wanted to express that if anybody from Hadley wants to talk about their ambulance service and how they built it, that he's happy to talk to anybody. So those 2 points of information.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
oh, you have someone else?
Hi, Melinda Nelson, 20 Middle Street. I heard I heard that most of you, if not all of you, don't have an appetite for a multiple vote on the override. I always like options myself, and I just wanted to say, I don't think that you have to do a vote the way South Hadley did. I think you can do it any way you want. And if you wanted to define it the way where you can say you can vote for any or all of the options, and whichever option gets the most votes wins, I think that's understandable, and I think you can say that. I don't know, I'm not a town council, but I think you can say that, so just putting that out there.
The problem I would have with that is if you say whichever one gets the most votes wins,
Somebody's losing.
you had 2 overrides and they split that vote.
No, but I'm saying you can vote for any or all of the options. If you like them all, you can vote for them all.
I know, but if you say whichever one gets the most votes takes it,
Yes?
then if that's the way it's listed, then those 2 overrides would split each other. So you're gonna have a non-override, an override, and another override. So the non-override, no override might up having more votes than whichever one, the other one is the highest.
So,
I'm just not understanding it the way you are. I'm not understanding what I'm saying the way you are understanding it.
well, a good thing we will all do is watch to see the news tomorrow and see how South Hadley.
You don't
Tonight.
have to be South Hadley.
Tonight.
No, but it'll be interesting to see what
Yeah.
happens.
Sure will.
Hi, Nancy Banman, 17 High Meadow Road. In listening to this, I just wanted to bring you back to Dr. McKenzie saying that even with the $640,000 increase, it's not an increase, it's bringing it back to the 2019 level. Are we really happy with our schools at 2019, the year? I was hoping tonight, again, that there seemed to be a casualness of putting the number out, hoping that the voters will take it, rather than coming up with what you really wanted to see funded with a very clear. Pam, I think you had numbers, and I think they just needed some tweaking, and you did, you got to that point. But I think there's a whole lot more that's being just left. And again, I think it's gonna be really difficult for the people at town hall to administrate this town the way we accept, the way we want it. And I will just say that health insurance is gonna keep going up, and it's gonna be a shocker. And I think we are so tight that we're not really gonna have the ability to bounce back from those things. And we have this opportunity now where we have the town's attention. And so I heard the discussion about $1 million, and I can't help but think that that's closer, to what we needed, because we're already starting from backwards. We're already starting underneath. Hampshire College just announced they're closing, right? So I would love to know, you don't have to tell me now, I'd love to know how much they give Pilot, right? Payment in lieu of taxes, they don't, because they're not in Hadley?
Very small portion, I believe.
Very small portion, okay. Well, it's gonna affect, because there are Hadley residents who have
Right.
jobs there. I know
Right.
one who's our neighbor. So in those things, I just would really like to see just sort of more of a view of what's gonna happen in the next 4 years. Things are very uncertain economically. And again, one of the points you made, you can't hire people now back using 2018 wages. You have to put them in at the prevailing wage now. And that has really changed. It's like we all know our bills have gone up. And I think this is what's happening with the town. So I really would hope maybe you'll just reconsider and maybe really think about increasing it. Because I think it's really important. Thank you.
I can talk
We
to it
can't.
because you guys can't. Oh, yeah. That amount will keep anyone, will put off the layoffs. There won't be any layoffs if that passes, the 640 back into the schools. And that is a huge first step, so it's extremely valuable to get that.
Yes.
And along the lines of something is better than nothing, we really don't want those additional layoffs. One of them was that preschool program that got started 20 years ago, which was we were going to lose. So we certainly hope that comes back. And I know last year I was part of the group that was deciding on, trying to decide how much to ask for. There was a real feeling of, we've got to take care of this whole problem right now. We've got to take care of it, and we can't just keep going back and asking for more. They're going to want to know that, oh, it's solved and we're not going to come back to you anymore. I think that there's not that feeling anymore, that there's always next year. Next year is another option for going for more. What's most important is that what is asked for this year passes. And I certainly wish it was more too. I certainly wish for the 2 level, and I would go up much higher. But this is fine. This is fine, and this is a great first step, and I think this is going to be fine. And if this works for the town, then we maybe get to try again. We put it out there with full honesty and clarity and openness, and this is it, and this is what we really need, and now you're going to see what we do with this and what our needs still are, and we can come back again if it seems right.
Do you have anything else? No? All right.
Nope.
Do I have a
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
motion by Pam,